amazed, ladies and gentlemen, because
We are clearly looking at the greatest hero to ever exist on this great earth.
What? Oh, sure. When Godzilla destroys half the city and kills the unstoppable threat to save the world, everyone cheers. But when I do it, everyone gets all grouchy and judgmental.
I see how it is.
Hey, way to go, Godzilla. You killed those awful creatures that only wanted to breed. You know who else wanted to procreate at the expense of humanity? Zod. That's right. You're welcome.
Yes! He's our favorite neighborhood hero. No, that's the wrong one, Mr. Producer. Jeez. Godzilla! Yay! That is the correct reaction. Folks, holy moly. Welcome, Godzilla Minus One. Fourth time, folks. Fourth time in theaters, and which is too few. It is absolutely too few. That's to tell you how strained my life was a year ago. It's a little less strained this year. Let me know how the audio's doing, if it's doing that popping thing. I'll see if I can fix it, but I did what I could. But holy smokes, I'm going to have to see this movie a couple more times before it leaves theaters. I sit in the theater watching credits I can't read because that freaking score is so amazing. I love that movie. I just like... I didn't cry as much this time. I wasn't full-blown Star Wars theory when Luke Skywalker shows up in Mando Season 2. But whenever Noriko says, "Is your war finally over?" and he's like, "Yes." It's ugly cry time, folks. It's ugly cry time for the captain. Hang on one second. Cough button. Welcome to just a special edition. I don't know how long I'll be. I felt like watching Godzilla, and we're going to talk some Godzilla Minus One. Full spoilers, like I'm not holding anything back. We're going to... I might just dissect the whole movie. I might just pull it up on Netflix, not to watch it, because screw the dub version. English dub, ugh, gross, ew, nasty. Avoid, like skim milk, as Ron Swanson would say, avoid. English dub, trash. But it might be useful to have some of the freeze frames. But I'm just like, every scene of this movie, I'm just like, this is so good. This is so great. Oh, the way they set this up, it's so perfect. It's a masterpiece. Absolute masterpiece. And Godzilla is just an excellent story. I had a thought that maybe I've been just a tad bit chauvinistic in regards to other Godzilla stories. We'll come back to that. But first, you, chat, are already here. Star Fury is in the chat. Star Fury, how are you here, Star Fury? Go to bed, Star Fury. He says, what the fuck, 2:30 a.m. start over there in the aisles. What are you doing to me, Captain? Definitely putting this out during the dog watch for me. I understand. You can catch it on the restream. I don't deserve such great sailors and star knots as you, my dear compatriots, my fellow travelers. Believe me, I would do it earlier, but I had stuff to do, and it's not my fault that I live in the colonies. Time works differently here. We exist in a totally different pocket universe of space and time. Beardo's Dummy Thick Peach, which I saw you on Geeks and Gamers Daily. Beardo's. He picks up a bus and he throws it back down as he wades through the buildings toward the center of town. Oh, he does worse than that. Like, I absolutely love it when Godzilla just like, just as a move, as Jesse Pinkman said. He poisoned the kid, just like as a move. He can't keep getting away with that. Breaking Bad, anyone? Anyway. I cannot get these headphones to work. I apologize. But yeah, he throws like an entire ship and it just lands. God, it's so good. You know, Critical Drinker he did this amazing breakdown. How's my audio? Is my audio good? Let me know. Let me know if the audio is good. Anyway, they did this in Critical Drinker did this amazing breakdown comparison of the Battle of Helm's Deep juxtaposed with the Battle of Eregion in Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And he talked about how the key to having the audience really engaged and just invested in an epic battle is you have to understand. In fact, we might just pull up that video because his breakdown is excellent. We need to understand how the battlefield works. We need to understand the objectives of both sides. And I think he threw in a couple other qualifiers, but those were two of the big ones. Like, we need to understand the battlefield. It needs to make perfect sense, and in the Battle of Helm's Deep, it does. And we need to understand the clear objectives of each side. And what's marvelous about Godzilla Minus One is that you just understand the stakes, you understand the objectives, you understand everything that's on the line. If this doesn't work, what's going to happen? You just understand all of that. So that whole final set piece against the battle to destroy Godzilla it just, as I once said on this very channel, this movie flies to its target like an arrow. It just sails to it. It's beautiful, folks. It's an absolute masterpiece. I love it. And I was just thinking about how the way that the whole story just focuses down on Shikishima at the end, flying that mission in the Shinden against Godzilla. It's just, it's so beautifully done. Because you know every single reason why he's got to be there. You know everything he's faced at that point. You know exactly why he's there. And, by the way, you understand Godzilla's motives. He's nesting. he's nesting. He's not trying to kill everybody. He's just nesting. Godzilla needs a home, too, okay? It's not his fault. He's basically an animal that's confused, okay? He thinks Tokyo's his territory, and he's nesting. And he sees that if you shoot at him, he's going to think you're a challenger. And Godzilla, he don't tolerate threats. He's got, like, again, to quote Jesse Pinkman of Breaking Bad, he's got, like, a zero-tolerance policy on threats. That's just how he rolls, man. It's not his fault. He's nesting. But what's really amazing about it is that you understand that. You understand why Godzilla's there, why he's coming back, and you know what's going to happen. He's just going to keep coming back. And I love the end of the film when Godzilla dies, because I was with the characters on this, too. Even though I'm on the edge of my seat, just biting my nails in suspense the entire movie, wondering how are they going to kill this thing, and then can they kill this thing? Is it going to work? It's nerve-shredding, folks. I can't take this. Yes, I can. But then, when they succeed, and Godzilla is sort of disintegrating, hoisted on his own petard, as it were, everybody raises, all the sailors, they raise their salute to Godzilla. They give him a salute, And I'm like, damn. I kind of feel a little sad, Godzilla's our boy, man. He's Godzilla. Hero says, oh no, they say he's got to go. Go, Godzilla. Definitely need Listerine for the atomic breath. Yes, it's bad. It's, he is not a morning person as Godzilla. Beardo says, did the captain get kidnapped by trick-or-treaters? Nonsense, I don't participate in that. Starfury says, yes, they mugged him for his sippy cup. Yes, we'll let that slide. Beardo says, Gojira! I'm crackling. Damn it. Little snap, crackle, and pop never hurt anyone. Is it like constant, or is it just like once in a while? Let me know if it's constant or once in a while. I'm trying to fix the problem. I just may not. My equipment just may not be capable. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to find an alternative way to stream, because I don't know. Constant? God damn it. All right. Well, consider this a test stream. What could I do? What could I do on the fly that might fix the problem? Let me kill. Let me get rid of that. I don't think that would solve it. I might have to try going back to OBS. I don't know. With OBS, though, I can't multi-stream to Rumble and X, formerly known as Twitter. Could I lower one of the settings, perhaps? I don't really have it on the highest settings. Resolution. I could lower the resolution, maybe. Let me try that. Let me know if it improves at all. I lowered the visual resolution. I could try killing excess tabs. I really wish I knew. I really wish I knew the source of that crackling. It didn't used to do that, and now it does. Is there anything plugged in that I don't need? Let me get rid of this. Maybe this would help. Okay, toss that. All right, let me know if that fixes anything. You're too kind, Beardos. It's intolerable. It's intolerable to me that my audio quality sucks, and it really disappoints me greatly. But I don't know what else to do about it, because I didn't have this problem, and now suddenly I have this problem. So, oh well. I thought we'll just kind of roll with it for a little while. It's not going to be a super long stream, because our dear Prince Starfire has to go off to bed at some point. We have to look out for him, you know? There's my YouTube chat. Thank you. There is my YouTube chat. I thought we would take a look at, well, some of my thoughts about Godzilla, I would say. Where are... Let's see here. Let's do this one first, okay? So one of the reasons why I really love this film is that it's an affirmation of life. It's a film about a man who's given up. He's given up on himself. He believes he doesn't deserve to live, and it's actually through having to confront this monster that he discovers that he was meant to live, that he was destined to live. And Dr. Steve Turley, who normally does sort of political things, he, of all people, I could tell, he's just a nerd. He loves to quote Lord of the Rings all the time. I really appreciate that about him. He had a marvelous review that I think absolutely nailed it. So let me share that with you now. And in the background, I can kind of work on seeing if I can fix this. There we go. Roll tape.
Known for destroying buildings and smashing cities, but now we can add the crushing of Hollywood to the list. That's right. The latest film from Japan is smashing box office records and making a mockery of our failed woke movie industry. And I'm going to show you precisely why you need to get out there and see this amazing film. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, and I recently had...
Yeah, he did this review, I want to say, was it January of this year, maybe? Yeah.
Had the awesome experience of seeing the amazing new Japanese film entitled Godzilla Minus One. But first, there's another iconic movie scene I think you'll like.
I'll be back.
That's right, gang. He is back. It's time to show our support and celebrate the great return by clicking on that link below and getting your very own Trumpinator 2024 bobblehead in preparation for Donald Trump's glorious reascendance to the United States presidency. This collectible bobblehead from Proud Patriots is made with the highest quality material, and it really is a must-have for any Trump fan who wants to send some positive energy towards what's shaping up to be the most glorious political comeback in history. Now, don't wait. There are just a limited number of these collectibles, and you don't want to be caught later on eBay paying way more for it. from someone who bought one now. So whatever you do, don't wait. Click on that link below right now and show your support for Trump 2024 today. Godzilla Minus One is currently taking the box office by storm, very much akin to the way The Sound of Freedom dominated theaters across the nation several months back. Like The Sound of Freedom, Godzilla has no big-name Hollywood support. It was made on a very modest budget of just $15 million. And on top of all that, it's a fully Japanese film replete with subtitles. And yet, Godzilla Minus One has become a blockbuster smash hit, breaking records at the box office and completely defying the trend of big-budget Hollywood movies struggling to find success because of their incessant and pathetic wokeness. The film offers a remarkable combination of the traditional Godzilla narrative, but with an incredibly gripping storyline that emotionally tugs the heartstrings like few films can. Set in the immediate aftermath of Japan's defeat in the Second World War, the film features the main character, Koichi, a disgraced kamikaze pilot who's ravaged by survivor's guilt, especially given how he deliberately cowered away from giving his life for the Empire. After returning home to rebuild his life in war-torn Japan, Koichi meets a beautiful young selfless woman named Noriko, who's caring for a baby girl given to her by the baby's dying mother, whose last...
Oh my god, it's so beautiful. It is such a beautiful opening to the film. And I one of the things I love in the beginning of this movie is how oops, wrong one, like that one. One of the things I love in the beginning of this movie is the sense of just loss and just this haunted mood. The score is so beautiful in this film. And it's incredible to me how, you know, almost every other Godzilla film, I always used to think this, even as a kid. I was like, what, you know, the humans are the most boring part of any Godzilla film. They're kind of just there to look in terror at what he's doing. And it's amazing. This is the first Godzilla film, truly, I think, that's ever truly nailed in my view, the story, which is the on the ground, human-centric story of what it would be like to survive this walking disaster. And I love how the opening of this film begins with this little family coming together. It's magnificent. Resume tape. I'm working on my audio in the meantime. No, that's the wrong one. Everything is messed up now. There we go. Roll tape.
Last request was for Noriko to take care of her. Given that his entire family's been killed in the air raids, Koichi provides shelter for Noriko and the baby in what's left of his bombed-out home, and together Koichi and Noriko do what they can to just try to survive amidst the devastation of post-war Japan. And here's where the drama really unfolds. When Godzilla has been mutated and empowered through nuclear tests off the coast of the Marshall Islands, when Godzilla begins to attack Japan, Godzilla in many ways represents the personal monsters that the Japanese were having to wrestle with after not just losing the war, but losing their entire imperial way of life. To make matters worse, the U.S. military refuses to help with protecting Japan from Godzilla because of geopolitical tensions with the Soviet Union. And the Japanese government, they're just too...
Hang on, I'm back. Let me know, how is the audio now? I made a slight change and I had to rearrange some things. I guess I lost my share here. Hang on, let me go back. Here we go. Present. Hello, Staffhitty. Is it sounding a little better at all? Is it sounding any better? Roll tape.
That the Japanese were having to wrestle with after not just losing the war, but losing their entire imperial way of life. To make matters worse, the U.S. military refuses to help with protecting Japan from Godzilla because of geopolitical tensions with the Soviet Union. And the Japanese government, they're just too impotent following their defeat to stop Godzilla. So the task to defending Japan, defending their homeland, now rests solely with the people. And this is where you begin to see a fascinating and compelling nationalist populist theme arise in the film. Everyone wants to defend their homeland, but they don't trust their government or the U.S. military to do it. They see their government, in its previous and ill-fated form of embracing imperial fascism, they see their government as guilty of having let down the people. Their government is guilty of having cheapened life, rendering Japanese citizens expendable in defense of an aristocratic fascist elite. And so the only people who are left to defend the homeland are the people themselves. And that's exactly what happens. Having rejected the defeated fascism of their old regime, the Japanese people, many of whom are surviving soldiers, they organize and band together to save Japan from the new destructive threat it faces in the form of this monster. And what I found so fascinating is how the movie actually challenges the silly narratives coming from our own political and cultural elite. I mean, hardly a day or week goes by without ultra-liberal media pundits accusing MAGA forces of being the F word.
The Democratic Party is the world's last best.
Okay. How is the audio now? Is it sounding any better now? Let me make sure that I've got my correct microphones selected. Okay, good. I think I might let me know, is it sounding a little better now? Yes, okay. I figured it out. I figured out what it is. Is it a lot better? Staffere? Is it a lot better? I think it so fantastic, no crackling. Okay. All right, chat. If this ever happens again, you can tell the dumb captain. You have my permission to let the captain know, as his loyal officers, that he done fucked up. Okay? My ad blocker was on StreamYard, and although there's no ads to block, it was it was monitoring the tab, and so that's what was causing it. Yeah, well, let me fix that. I think I can fix that. Hang on. Yes, Starfury, you're saying my visual quality is like terrible. Wait, now it should be at full high definition now. Hang on. All right, full high definition. That should be correct. And then audio should be good. All right, how's the visual? Is the visual better now? Let me see what the Rumble stream is doing. Play Rumble. It seems like it's looking pretty good now. I mean, I might have maybe my internet issues, or my internet slowing down. That could be. Beardo saying, Captain, modulate the tachyon stream to get rid of the crackling. Yes, I did. I got it, chat. All right, let's just keep on rolling with Dr. Steve Turley. It's fascinating how he identifies exactly the parallels in this film about individualism. No, Starfire. We don't need to reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. We could try it. You know what I love in Star Trek? I love this in Star Trek when they're just like, Captain, we could, exactly as you suggest, we could reverse the tachyon beams. We could invert the polarity and create a static warp shell. And the captain's like, do it. And then they're like, Captain, they're firing on us. Evasive maneuvers. That's like the only thing they ever say. Evasive maneuvers. I don't know. That always bugged me. I bypassed. I bypassed the compressor. I bypassed the compressor. That's exactly what I did. I did. The stupid ad block. Man, it's always something like that, ain't it? It's always something. I knew that it had to be the browser because I was recording a video earlier and the recording sounded fine. So it had to be something in the browser affecting the stream. So, okay. Resuming with Dr. Steve. Let me get myself situated here. There we go. Roll tape.
Extreme, autocratic, anti-woman, anti-gay, anti-contraception, anti-freedom collection of fascists who dominate the Trump wing of today's Republican Party. A group of fascists who even refuse to investigate the violent riots.
Isn't this one a beauty? What a real beauty this one is. You know, saying something more forcefully does not make it true.
That their president launched on January 6th to overthrow a legitimately elected president. Why? Because they are fascists.
You and I, the patriots who love faith, family, and freedom, you and I, according to these leftist lunatics that you just heard, you and I are fascists. But this smear is precisely the ridiculous fraud that Godzilla Minus One so beautifully and profoundly exposes. Throughout the film, the Japanese people rise up to defend their national sovereignty, to defend their nation, their culture, their customs, their traditions, and yet they do so completely distancing themselves from their now defeated fascist regime. They are fully nationalist populists, but they are emphatically not fascists. And thus, this film profoundly blows apart so much of the unthinking and mindless nonsense that passes as political critique for so many on the woke left. And that unapologetic championing of nationalist populism is striking quite the chord among theatergoers. Godzilla Minus One just became the highest growing Japanese Godzilla film in the 70-year history of the franchise.
And since the production of this video, it hit $115 million worldwide on a $15 million budget.
Meanwhile, major Hollywood studios, including Disney, have faced significant financial setbacks in 2023, with only a few select films managing to break even or even turn a profit. Disney alone has lost over $1 billion in their last 8 or 9 films. And why should we be surprised at that? The American film industry has gone woke. And having gone woke, American films have largely lost the ability to create great art. And this is because great art communicates the timeless and transcendent values of truth, goodness, and beauty that are eternal, and therefore are never exhausted in any particular artistic or cultural instantiation. However, wokeness, by contrast, isn't transcendent. It isn't eternal. It isn't even profound. Wokeness is a vile, vicious ideology held by a very fringe lunatic minority.
And it makes me sick.
And thus wokeness is not a sustainable art form, precisely because wokeness itself is not sustainable. If you want a faithful antidote to the trash that's coming out of Hollywood, go see Godzilla Minus One and enjoy storytelling at its finest and most conservative. But
absolutely nailed it. Dr. Steve Turley, Mr. Producer, round of applause for the doctor, the good doctor. I mean, I when I stumbled across that review, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, he watched this and he absolutely nailed it. It is a story, one of my favorite parts of this film, 100%, is it's like, I get emotional. You know what's crazy is almost every scene in this movie, I start getting excited. Oh, it's this scene. Oh, it's this scene. Oh, it's this scene. I'm so excited. You know what's amazing is I don't think the shills feel this when they're watching The Acolyte. I don't believe them. I don't believe these idiots that are just like, oh, the lightsaber is red. It's Hayden Christensen. Anakin is in it. Anakin is in. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Because I know what the actual feeling of enthusiasm is, and it's what I feel in Godzilla Minus One. It is like I just want to explode with joy. I'm an evangelist. I walk out of the theater and I start asking people what they thought. And I want to hear, and I walked by one of the ushers at the theater, and I was like, "Have you seen it?" And he said, "No, I've been wanting to see it." I'm like, "You gotta see it. It's so good." So I had to race to this microphone, my dear sailors and Starnauts, and tell you, but you already know, because you're here on the Swords and Starships channel. Please like and subscribe. We fixed the audio. I'm not taking credit. I gave you attribution, Mr. Producer. I did not. When? Well, I was busy. And yes, that is owing to my producer. He was very helpful in rooting out the problem. So he deserves great credit for that. We believe in a culture of appreciation here at Swords and Starship Studios. The scene that that was the weave, in case you didn't notice. The scene that is truly one of the most moving in the film, among many moving scenes, is when, God, it's the quiet before the storm. It's so good. Godzilla has arrived again. The plan is set. Everything's in motion. The Navy destroyers are ready to deploy. The Shikishima's got his plane. Tachibana's repaired it, and he's armed it with a kamikaze bomb. It's like now we play for all the marbles, and they get the call that Godzilla's on the way, and they all race into the Situation Room, and Noda, the technician, he's kind of like the brains of the operation. He's laying out everything, and he's saying, okay, we have to be there at 0800 tomorrow, so spend some time with your families. And I just love the look on the face of one of the guys, one of the sailors that's in there, is just like, you mean prepare? And he's like, no. On the contrary, I would like it if we could complete this mission without sacrificing any lives. This country has treated life too cheaply. And he just kind of lists all the things, all the ways that they just were cannon fodder in World War II. And he's like, this isn't about, dying for honor or charging into battle. This is about fighting for a future we all hope to live, and it just, because this film is about the value and worth of human life. You know what I'm saying? And what's interesting too is there's the scene where Noda is explaining how they plan to kill Godzilla, and every single character in that scene is a man. Okay, now that fits the time, because this is the 1940s. In Japan, only men would have been members of military service. I mean, in a combat role, at least. That's pretty much it. So in this situation, it's plausible historically, but even so, this scene could not have been made, because they would have had to shoehorn in, like a girl scientist or something. They couldn't just allow one scene to just be that. I'm not saying that every scene in a movie should be all men. I'm not advocating for less women in movies. And I know you know that, my dear sailors, but I have to say that for the wackos, Because well, it's not really for the wackos, because you can't help them. It's for those in the center, right? Those who maybe are a little bit not sure what to think about these things, and they're open-minded. I don't want them to get the wrong idea, but it's just, the point is, I just think of how even slight details like that would not be possible in Hollywood. But I digress. So I think what Dr. Turley nailed there is that it is a film about what citizens can do when really what free people can achieve when they are fighting for their own future, their own family, their own future, or their own property. Right? Their own future, their own family, their own property, their own destiny. History has shown this 1,000 times, that is the surest motivator, and it has been the reason that many Western civilizations have been able to construct incredibly effective. The Spartans at Thermopylae come to mind. So anyway, that is an element of the film that I just absolutely love. And we might as well just dig into kind of what I thought about it. What's that Star Fury said? He shot his load too early. Premature, in fact. He vadered. Oh, no, Star Fury. Now, Star Fury. That's too far, Star Fury. That's too far. He's kidding, folks. He's kidding. Listen, if you're new to this channel, the Swords of Starships channel, live on YouTube, X, and Rumble, there's something you need to know. You just have to know this. You have to be forewarned. Star Fury's out there, folks. He's out there. Now, and he's the master gunner aboard the ship. Let's see what an incredibly brilliant, trenchant commentator had to say about this film. I mean, this guy is, I don't know, I like the cut of his jib. He's really spot on here. And I just thought we would see what he thought about the film when it first came out. You may have seen him before. Godzilla Minus One. And it's not just the best film by a nose. This is the best film of the year by a country mile. This was the Godzilla movie I always wanted. This was from last year. This was from my top 10 best movies of the year. Hell, this movie is on the verge of being the best movie of this year. Okay, I'm literally sitting in the theater and I'm thinking, can I get away with that? Would the chat, would they pillory me if I did that? If I just said, well, technically they re-released it, so it counts as a 2024 film. And I thought, that's probably a bridge too far. Resume tape. But it was also a magnificent hero's journey. It's the story of, dude, it's an amazing period piece done with less than $15 million. Less than $15 million. Okay. Not only is it awesome fan service, because Godzilla is 100% fan service in this movie, but it follows the failed kamikaze pilot Shikishima, who is my favorite fictional character of the year, which I alluded to in the beginning of the stream. He is my favorite fictional character of the year. Hell, he's my favorite fictional character of this year. I might as well just say it. And what's so funny is he's a Japanese character, and you would think that because I don't feel represented on screen that I wouldn't be able to relate to him. But contrary to what the screwed up, sick, woke mind virus infected people might think, they make me sick. I identified quite a bit with this character.
I sure did.
I found myself really invested in him because he's a man that was struggling with fear. He was struggling with, what is my place in the world? One of my favorite scenes in the movie is he comes back from the end of World War II, and he's in the bombed out ruins of Tokyo, which had been viciously and ruthlessly firebombed by us, America, and by incendiaries. And like half the city is dead. They're just everybody in the city has lost minimum one person. Almost everyone in the city is a kind of orphan now, which is a haunting. The music in this film, by the way, it cuts like a knife. It's brilliant. It is classic. It's almost gothic in its level, which is typical of Japanese, and I love it. I love them for that. It's got this kind of and I sort of thought as I'm watching this film that I was in, and that the composer was Naoki Sato. And wow, the score is a major part of why I love this film. It's so grounded, so they did this, back to me live for a second. They did this featurette before the film started tonight, and it was kind of the behind the scenes, and it was actually the little reel that they did when they were in contention for the Academy Award, which they won Best Special Effects. I think it was the first Asian film ever to win Best Special Effects at the Academy Awards. So it frankly should have won a lot more than that, but it is what it is. In my view, it was a clean sweep for Godzilla Minus One, but which is really the view that matters compared to the Academy. Anyway, they were talking about how they gave the visuals of the film, they gave it a very warm earth and real world feel. And just that word stuck with me, warmth. And I was like, that's exactly right. Everything in this world feels so lived in, Shikishima, running into his house in the rain, like the colors of the Pacific island that he lands on. The absolute, let's face it, Godzilla, he's beautiful. He is beautiful in this movie. He's our boy. He's our boy. And like when his spines are like, how can I put this? Becoming erect. No, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. When his spines are preparing to unleash nuclear devastation. Just the color in this film is so great. And now I will say this, the minus color version is exceptional. Like, it's amazing. It's got that incredible nostalgia effect. And I love it. But honestly, the color palette in this movie, this feels like a World War II period piece set movie. Or like a World War II period movie that is grounded, and it just happens to have a 30-story nuclear fire-breathing lizard in it. It's kind of what Nolan achieved with the Batman trilogy, right? The Dark Knight trilogy. It's like everything about Gotham and the Joker and the corruption of the city, all of that felt so real. It felt so grounded. But there just happens to be this billionaire who becomes, a giant bat and beats up criminals. It felt so plausible. So, yeah, I love that. And the score in this film contributed so much to that. For a kind of dark, really dark movie, and it is dark, what I did not expect was what happened in the third act of the film, which is, anyway, but to close my... Sorry. Oh, no. Godzilla. It just is his comments on the screen, folks, if you're wondering what I'm laughing about. Oh, no, we can't. I can't say that one. Godzilla. No, that one's... I'll read the first one. Godzilla gets hard. That's what he said. Resume tape. I thought on what I was saying. Shikishima comes back to the ruins of Tokyo. His parents are dead. His neighbor walks across the street and realizes, wait, you're a kamikaze pilot. You're not supposed to be here. And she starts slapping him. She's like, you idiot, you coward. That would be his neighbor, Sumiko, who is just what a freaking brilliant character she is. She adds so much to the film. This kind of family of orphans that they stitch together over the course of the film is one of the most beautiful parts of it. You're the reason this happened. And she blames him for it. And it just hits you right in the gut. And what's so amazing is the relationship he has with that character evolves through the movie. She kind of changes and so does he. But he kind of has a death wish. He has survivor's guilt and he wants to die. Also, it doesn't help that he sees Godzilla in the beginning. So what I did not expect was when the third act of this film turns into a hero Golden Fleece story about Shikishima finding his courage, rebuilding an airplane with the man who once condemned him, and flying a mission to lure Godzilla into a trap. It is a mono battle. Failed kamikaze pilot in his airplane versus Godzilla. Oh, it's fucking great. It is so good. That is my favorite part of the movie. I absolutely love it. He's in that plane. Dude, there's a part of this movie. This guy gets it, folks. That just luxuriates in how awesome. By the way, this is a real model this aircraft really existed. And it looks like a science fiction creation. It really does. But it was a real plane that never made it into the war. You can just tell that the way you and I love starships, the way you and I love a sword, You know, the way Shad just loves a sword, the way that you and I love perhaps a tall ship at sea, whatever it is, right? That love that we have, if it's a X-Wing fighter, whatever it is, you know what it is. If it's a Gundam, you love a Gundam, whatever it is for you. I can tell you that for the creators of this film, they love that aircraft. Because you could just tell the moment when Shikishima is in the aircraft and he's testing its abilities, you know, and I mean, he's all right, Star Fury. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a better movie reviewer than me, but he's making a lot of brilliant points. I have to give credit where it's due. Music is so good in that scene, and he's in, but you know what it is? And I do not mean this in a chauvinistic way, okay? Because ladies, you are so welcome to love this movie as well. And I love a good ladies movie. I love a good female hero's journey as well. What the hell is that? That sounds a little weird now. I think it sounded better when I was thinking it. Hello, Blue Eye Samurai, okay? But it's the way, dude, it's not because normal people understand all of this. It's the wackos, man. It's the wackos that are out there looking to be, as Jeremy loves to put it, and I think he's more right on the money all the time, fake offended. Fake offended over nonsense. This case, this is a movie that deals with very typically, generally speaking, very male concerns, right? Which is the issue of how... you know what? I was tiptoeing around it. No, flat out, this is a film about a man confronting the very serious male crisis of, am I a coward? Am I capable of protecting my family? Or am I, you know, like, not 100%. What this film is really capturing is the feeling of, for lack of a better term, impotence that Shikishima feels in the face of Godzilla, because, you know, Godzilla just, man, look, I get heat from people who've read my novel about how much shit that John Sullivan, my main character, goes through, and how things go wrong, and how bad things get, right? And they say, how could you do that to him? But I said, I'm not doing it to him. That's the story. Yes, I wrote it, but that's not because... It's because that's the hero's journey. The hero the hero suffers to achieve what he or she ultimately is seeking, right? And the point is, life is hard, right? And so it is about, this film puts Shikishima through the absolute ringer. Like, Godzilla beats him in the beginning. He beats him again at sea, kind of. Shikishima kind of saves the day, but then, God, that amazing sequence where Godzilla just blows up that Navy ship. Then Godzilla takes Noriko from him, right? And I love the scene when Shikishima hits his knees and he just looks up. Great credit to Ryonosuke Kamiki, the actor who plays him. He's brilliant in the scene. The way he just looks up at Godzilla and he just screams. And he's only partially angry at Godzilla. He's really angry at himself because he failed as a man. So no, this is a film in the same way that Barbie is a film that appeals to the struggles women endure, such as they are. This is a film that definitely appeals to the struggles men endure psychologically, right? Typically. I'm speaking in generalities. There's, of course, exceptions on both sides. But my point is, like, this is and you know, it's only striking because it's so rare these days. It's very rare, you know, that you can have a film where it's just a male protagonist dealing with a particularly male-driven psychological battle, because men are driven by the instinct to protect. And they feel worthless if they don't have a purpose, if they feel they can't protect those they love. It creates a moral crisis. And in this case, it drives Shikishima to near suicidality. So it's an incredibly important point. And I make no apologies for making that freaking brilliant point last year. Cowardice, the issue of courage, the issue of being able... Blue is in the chat. And Starfear says, I like my coffee such that the stirrer stands up on its own. Oh, that's great, Starfear. Oh, I would love to drink a cup of coffee right now. but it's I'll be up all night if I do that. Fu Man Blue says, so the lack of quality sound hasn't kept him from powering through, I see. Is it bad? Is the sound bad right now, Fu Man? I thought I fixed it, according to the chat, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just... Did you gaslight me, Star Fury? No, I hope I fixed it. Run it! Being able to protect your family... Still? God dang it! All right, let me remove... I'm literally just going to remove this extension. Remove that. I'm going to turn off... I do not have any other extensions running. Starfury says not as bad as at the beginning. Okay. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to run some test streams, or if I can, and see if I can fix it. But maybe it's the connection. I don't know. If I can't fix it, I don't know what I'm gonna do with the Captain's Cast, because I don't want to be putting on shows if this is what happens. Because it's below par. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Captain's Cast if I can't resolve this. So we'll see. But roll tape, failing to protect your family and those you love. That's a big deal to men, especially young men who've just come back from a war in which they were defeated. Oh, very funny, Beardos. He says you've got an extension running, then you better go catch it. Very, very drawl. Very drawl, sir. Believe me, I'm not, and when I say I'm not being chauvinistic, I know that women also grapple with these issues. So I'm not saying that women don't grapple with these issues. Of course they do. But in the case of men, it's just one of those issues that's always very central to our lives. It just is. And especially in this culture, being a coward, you might as well, it's not even worth living as a coward. And Shikishima hates himself for surviving, for being a coward. What's so interesting is that the thesis of this film, the driving theme of it, is that his life was worth saving. And so were many of the other lives that were lost. And if his life had not been saved, he would not have been there to lure Godzilla into the trap and save the lives below. And and there's such an amazing element of a man confronting his destiny. He spent his whole life running from what he feared, and now he's flying that plane right into the jaws of the thing he's most terrified of, which is Godzilla. And let me tell you something, when that plane is flying towards Godzilla and he just barely misses it, the sound design is incredible. You hear his shredding claws just clamp down, and oh my God, he almost got him. And it drives me crazy. This is a nerve-shredding movie. It's a nerve-shredding action movie, let me tell you. But it's that element. It's that element of a young man conquering his fear, fighting for his family, and embracing life. Now, in a more broader sense, so not in specifically the male sense, but in just a... The worst part is, Fu Man Blue, if I ever react to this reaction of me discussing it, it'll be 3 of me. Broader sense, it is a story about humanity and about there is something worth... Fu Man Blue. He says the perfect interviewer for the Captain is the Captain. You're not wrong. Yeah, no, there's 2 of them. All right, we're on the downhill slope here. I'm going to let it play to the end now. Worth saving in us. There is something, Godzilla in this movie is the villain. He is the monster. He is the nemesis. He is here to testify that we are a sinful species that deserves what we're about to get. We deserve to have our cities leveled. We deserve the pain that he's bringing on us. And the film does a pretty good job of making that case. What I like about the character of Shikishima and his friends in this movie is they are making the opposite case. They are making the case that no, Godzilla, you're wrong. We do have worth. We do have value. We have a place on this earth. And yes, we participated in a bloody, terrible war. There was blood on everyone's hands. 60 million people died in World War II. 60 million. And every single country involved, Axis or ally, did terrible, terrible things. Honestly, Some people think it's even higher than 60 million, but that's the most broadly accepted estimate. Obviously, one side did worse things than the other, but we all had horrific blood on our hands, all of us, both in lives sacrificed and in lives taken. And so I view this film as very much a meditation on all humanity, not just Japanese, but all humanity. And what I love about it is it's saying, yes, we're flawed. Yes, we have failings. Yes, we do terrible things to each other. There's no doubt about that. But what's good in us outweighs that. What's good in us is worth more than that. And that is worth saving. And that is what Star Trek used to say. That is what Doctor Who used to say. That is what Star Wars used to say. That is what Indiana Jones used to say. That is what Lord of the Rings is about. That is what all of these films, all these things that they've taken from us, that is what they were about. They were about the thing in us that's worth saving, the thing that in us that's good and admirable. That's what MCU movies were about. That's what DC movies used to be about. That's what this movie is about. That is what Godzilla Minus One is about. It is a film that restores your faith in humanity. And frankly, it kind of made me believe in myself. It really did. It was like, you know what? I'm with you, Shikishima. I could get in that plane. I can fly into the jaws of Godzilla. If you can do it, so can I. I fucking love this movie. It is the best film of the year. It is an all-time classic. It's one of the best films I've ever seen. It's the best Godzilla movie ever made. It is an incredible human story. This film was like healing for all the misery that Hollywood bullshit inflicted on my soul for the 11 months prior to this film coming out. And what's so fascinating is that in and of itself is almost a metaphor for what the film is saying. The film is saying that one life can change history. One life can turn the tide. One life. This is a pro-life movie, not to get all political, but this is a pro-humanity, pro-living movie, right? And in a way, it's like one light is enough to banish the darkness. That's kind of the way I see it. And so what's so interesting is you have all this darkness that Hollywood dumps on us. You have all this garbage, all this destruction that they wreak on everything that we love, right? And it gets overwhelming. We start to think, my God, how can we ever resist this? How can we ever stand up to all of this? And all I can say is, we do stand up to it. Because one film about one hero's journey is worth 100 woke dumpster fires. It's amazing how quickly one beautiful film banishes the darkness, chases it away, and turns it all around. So there you go. Hat tip and a salute to the best film of the year, Godzilla Minus One. The Captain salutes you and thanks you. Takashi Yamazaki, brilliant writer, brilliant director, knows how to budget a film. You give him credit for that, so you can stick it where the sun don't shine, Disney. That's all I have to say about that. And back to me. Yes, the Captain with another barn burner, an absolute stem winder. I have to say, I know that a lot of people that saw the film kind of sniffed it out that there was an ejector seat in the plane. I didn't when I first saw it. I didn't really think there was. What I thought was going to happen was maybe that Shikishima was going to decide against suicide, but I didn't see the ejector seat thing coming. And I was reviewing it again, and I was like, I see how people kind of sniff that out. However, I felt like if I'm the director of this film, I don't know how you could have concealed it better. It was a little bit, delivering the telegram in the middle of Shikishima flying the mission against Godzilla. That almost gives away Noriko coming back. But I kind of feel like the way it was woven into the action, it looked like it was the telegram notifying Sumiko that I'm not going to be coming back. This is a suicide mission. Take care of Akiko for me. The only reason that I think that's kind of, it's a bit of a stretch is because we already had him give Sumiko the note with Akiko saying, use this money for Akiko. So it was redundant, right? So I think the audience is smart enough to sometimes figure out that, like, well, he already left a note, so what's this telegram about? Oh, I wonder if Noriko's alive, right? So there are little imperfections in the film here and there, but I just don't care. I don't care because it's just so beautiful, and I enjoy every minute of it anyway. So they fight a battle at sea at the end. I mean, how cool is that? How freaking cool is that? I was thinking about how just the first scene in the film is, I don't think enough credit goes to the sound design. The sound design in this film is excellent. I mean, it is the equal or the better of any major Hollywood film. Like, I would stack Godzilla Minus One up against Dune Part 2 easily. In terms of like how excellent the sound, the visuals, everything. It just is so, and one of the things I love about it is when Godzilla's like flipping the plane and he's roaring and he's grabbing the guy. It feels real. It just feels absolutely real. And not just because the CGI is better than it's ever been. It's because the sound is all around you. It's shocking. It's fast paced. And then the music, the score is so perfect. It's just this background hum, this tense kind of scary hum. You know what it's like? It's like a war movie. That's basically what it's like. It's like a war movie. That's such a smart motif for Yamazaki to choose for this. Because I actually think, what's funny is I think the tendency with most Godzilla films is to treat it more like a Roland Emmerich disaster film. You know what I'm talking about. Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow. Like, what's another famous Roland Emmerich disaster? Moonfall. Moonfall. Oh, fuck off. The moon's crashing into Earth. All right, Roland. That was an accident. I hit that by accident. Anyway, I think the tendency is to, and by the way, I'm not knocking it either, because Godzilla 1985 is definitely like it's almost kind of like Chernobyl. It's like a Chernobyl story. It's a disaster management story, and it's like all of Japan, all of their leadership is like rallying. It's very much like Independence Day. It's about how do we fight this thing, and that's fine. But that's almost always the kind of tone of a Godzilla film. What's so fascinating about what's so moving, really, about Minus One is it strikes the tone of a war film. Wow. I honestly watched this and I'm like, where did he come up with that? Because that's brilliant. Like, that is great. This is exactly how it should be done. And I think this is what's lacking in the Monarch universe. Like, so I alluded earlier in the stream to, I was sitting in the theater, okay. They had this reel before the film that was showcasing like the evolution of the Godzilla character, the different films, Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus Ghidorah, and how Godzilla has kind of oscillated between dark, nuclear paranoia, disaster film to dopey, monsters in rubber suits fighting each other, and basically it goes 1 minute it's a dark commentary on humanity, the next minute it's a kid's story, right? It's a kid's franchise, and there's truth to that. And I couldn't help but think to myself, maybe I've been a tad chauvinistic about this because, as you know, Godzilla X Kong was crap, and I hate how it stripped out all the moral weight of Godzilla trashing a city. I just thought that really ruined it for me. And I thought, well, maybe I'm being a touch chauvinistic about this because what I am sort of insisting upon is that I like Godzilla when he's the villain. That's my deal. I like it when Godzilla is the bad guy. That's my favorite version of Godzilla. It always has been since I was a kid. Yes, I enjoyed Godzilla versus Ghidorah or whatever, but always my favorite was when Godzilla was the bad guy. And another part of me likes the moral weight of it, just the focus on Godzilla as an avatar of our own destruction. You know, I just think that's but in fairness, that's kind of a preference of mine, right? So who's to say that there's been plenty of Toho Studios films that were just dopey, kind of like superhero battling, you know, super villain kaiju, and that's what they were. And the humans are in there just to watch the action. And who am I to begrudge people who love that? Which I don't, and I've never said I do. But, like, I understand why people enjoy the Monarch universe. And, like, the first Monarch Godzilla wasn't bad. It just not nearly as good as this. But I thought maybe I should ease up a little. But here's what I will say. Maybe not every Godzilla film has to be this kind of brooding, you know, allegory to the destructiveness of humanity and all that sort of thing. Maybe sometimes it can just be, you know, as I like to show quite often, you know, Godzilla can just be this once in a while.
I was so worried, but now everything's okay.
Be amazed, ladies and gentlemen, because
We are clearly looking at
I love how Godzilla's pointing. I love how Godzilla's almost like, yeah. I love his eyes too. His eyes, and that he's all. While Superman is whining, he's all, don't hate me because you hate me. You know what I mean? But anyway, maybe sometimes Godzilla could just be that. But I will insist upon one thing. It is possible, no matter how kind of silly or serious the film is, you can have a meaningful story arc with a protagonist or group of protagonists that is laser focused on telling a great story with a moving through line. You can do that. Superhero movies do that. The freaking Sonic the Hedgehog movies do this. And they're not like Godzilla. You know, they're not meditations on the destructiveness of man. They are fun, upbeat kids movies, basically. But they do an excellent job of making you really care about Sonic and his relationship with James Marsden's character. I forget his name. What's his name? Dave. The sheriff, you know. And it's like that. So it can be done. You can have this great human story. And I think I do insist upon that. I might be okay with some dopey kaiju on kaiju action once in a while, but I must insist upon meaningful character-driven stories. And that trash in Godzilla X Kong, folks, that was trash. Like, that film is garbage. That there ain't nothing to see there. There really isn't. And I liked Kong Skull Island. I liked mostly the first Godzilla film. It was entertaining. The second Godzilla King of the Monsters was okay as well. But that Godzilla X Kong, I just cannot. I do not care. Dude, they have the kaiju doctor. They have a vet. They have the kaiju vet and he's a dumbass. He's just a dope because he's like, oh hey, I'm gonna like bungee on down and I'm gonna pull this tooth out of this kaiju. Yeah! And I'm just like, fuck this character. I was like, this is the most annoying character. Yeah, so anyway. So look at that. The Captain, I'm admitting in a rare, just an almost infinitesimal moment, I am admitting maybe, possibly, I was going a little bit too hard on the Monarch universe and the other Godzilla films. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know.
Wait, what? I'm just goofing. New boot goofing. Oh.
What? Fu Man Blue says the sound on clip seems fine. You guys too. So it's basically my direct. So whatever the sound is that's going through to the broadcast, that sucks, but the videos don't. Okay, that's. Yeah, I guess I got to dump StreamYards. I got to dump StreamYards and do something else. It's the mic input. I don't see how that's possible because I've literally recorded a video and the recording sounded fine. So I don't know. There's something in between the mic and it's got to be the live stream aspect of it that's causing it. So, you know what? I think I checked the Rumble stream last week, and the Rumble stream also sounded poppy. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Mothra versus Noriko. Star Fury says. Yeah, I would love to see. Oh, there it is, Beardos. I love that. There is still some good in this world, and it's worth fighting for, Mr. Frodo. Oh, Sam's epic speech at the end of the Two Towers. I mean, that might be objectively the best of the three. But then you've got, oh, I can't carry it for you, Mr. Frodo, but I can carry you. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's the best. I don't know. But then you've got Boromir coming over that hill and saving the hobbits. I can never choose. I simply cannot choose which of those films is the best. I can't. It's not possible. The Battle of Helm's Deep is the best battle in them. No, because Boromir fighting Lurtz is the best bet. And then Aragorn taking out Lurtz is so good. Yeah, I can't choose. I just can't choose. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try restream. I'm gonna have to. I don't know what I'm gonna do between now and Sunday because it's only a day. It's only like a day away, so it depresses me. I do. You know what's interesting about Ryonosuke Kamiki, who plays Koichi Shikishima? He had I want to read this like little story about him. I haven't found a lot of sources I can read because a lot of them are in Japanese. So unfortunately, I'm relying on the Wikipedia article because I went to the sources because I wanted to get like the original article, but they weren't translated. But here we go. So, Ryonosuke Kamiki was born on May 19th, 1993. He was fragile in infancy, spending months in intensive care, and at one point was given only a 1% chance of survival. He was not discharged from the hospital until he was 7 months of age. Doctors believed that even if he survived, he would live his life with a disability. His mother came up with the idea of making him a child actor to leave, this is so heartbreaking, folks, concrete proof of his existence. Like, I want you to think about oh, wait. Hey, oh, sorry. Let me fix my layout there. I want you to think about this for a second. His mother basically is told that, like, he's going to die. He's not going to live very long. And so she wanted to, like, create, like, a record of his, like, he lived. He lived. And so she came up with the idea of putting him in acting because it would be like he would live on, right? You know? And, but then he beat it, and he actually became a successful actor. And I just think, now the reason I bring that up, I just think that's beautiful. Well, the reason I bring that up is because it's so eerie how that mirrors the character of Shikishima, who is this man struggling with his own crisis of like whether he deserves life or not. And I just think it's so fitting that the actor playing him, you know, was given up for dead basically by the doctors when he was born, and yet he beat the odds and proved he's still here, right? He has this great life. So I just think that's awesome. I think that's beautiful. I thought I would share that with you. So yeah, Godzilla Minus One. I just wanted to talk about it, folks. I love to talk about the good stuff, man. Like, I'm watching Penguin. I just finished the 7th episode of Penguin. It is unbelievably good. It is so good. There is a scene between Oswald the Penguin, the titular eponymous penguin, and his mother that is, I was kind of shocked. I actually got a little bit emotional watching the scene. It was so powerful. And I didn't know, as much as I'm enjoying the show, I didn't know that it was capable of that. And it definitely is. I mean, Colin Farrell, talk about a performance in this show. It's excellent. The way they're setting up this battle royale between him and Sophia is phenomenal. So, like, I enjoy talking about things that are good, you know, and I don't know what it is about Godzilla Minus One, but it never gets old. I watch this movie again and again, and I just love it more every single time. It speaks to me on such a level, and dude, Godzilla's never looked better. He's never been more awesome. He's never been more awesome. He is so devastating in this movie. Like, every beat of the movie, every single time Godzilla comes up in the film, it's to tell us things have gotten worse. Basically, the film's like, I've got more bad news for you. You know what I mean? That's what the whole thing is. Like, it just escalates, it escalates, it escalates. And that's because the journey of the protagonist is in perfect, like alignment with the journey of Godzilla in the film, so that finally we meet with the climactic battle at the end. Because as the stakes rise for Shikishima, the absolute undefeatability of Godzilla is becoming more and more and more clear. And Godzilla himself, like, I think that you cannot make a film like this if you don't love what you're doing. You just can't. And I just think that Yamazaki clearly loves this character. He loves Godzilla. He loves history. Clearly, he loves military history. And the way Godzilla's face comes out of the smoke after he just nuked the city, just the shot, like the cinematography in this film is so well thought out. And it goes by too fast to catch it all. But, like, for example, the scene where they look up and they see Godzilla's face coming out of the smoke, the camera is looking up at him, right? So it's from ground level, and it just makes him this godlike being that's just completely undefeatable. He's the avatar of our destruction. It's horrifying. Then they have another great shot of just the mushroom cloud, and Godzilla's just roaring in front of it. It's like, oh my God, it's so amazing. Then, later in the film, when you've got Shikishima flying against Godzilla, the camera is, like, mounted on the wing. That's basically the perspective. The camera is mounted on the wing so that rather than having a wide shot and seeing, like, you know, the plane flying towards Godzilla and then zipping away, it's like, no, we're in the cockpit and Godzilla's trying to grab us as we're going by. You know, it reminds me of the trench run in Star Wars. Like, that's one of the most iconic scenes in a film for decades, was that trench run where Luke is flying the trench in the Death Star. Why? Because we're in the perspective of the pilot. It's exhilarating. I felt the exact same way. And it was so cool how, like when he does a pass around Godzilla snaps at him, and then we're looking in the rear view as the plane is flying away from Godzilla and he's receding into the distance. Like, dude, that takes love and care and vision like you can't believe to pull that off. There are you know what's amazing is you go watch a Marvel show, you go watch a Netflix, not all Netflix shows, about 60% of them. You watch a Disney Lucasfilm Star Wars show, notice how stale all the shots are. Notice the framing of everything is always the same. It's always very obvious. I want to say that, who was it that was making this point on Film Threat about, maybe it was Paul Chatto or someone like that. And it was about an animated show. Oh, no, I think it was Baggage Claim. She was talking about some woke animated show. What was it? Was it that Disney movie about wishes, you know, fulfilled? What was the one that bombed last year about Wish? Wish! That's the name of the film. Wish. That's what it was. Someone like that noted that in the film Wish, right, every shot with the characters is framed just the way this shot is framed, which is I'm in the center, the dead center of the camera. But that's actually really bad, even in animated films, because you want to create the two shot, right? You want to have the character slightly off center in order to add perspective to the shot. And it depends on the situation, right? But you don't just film them like it's a cooking show, right? Even though it's animated, you still have to ask yourself, where is the camera? Who's holding the camera? That's what gives it a lifelike quality. That's what gives it, to use a $6 word, verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. You have to think this way. Yeah, Fu Man, I saw Baggage Claim on FNT. She was great. She's usually pretty quiet with those lunatics you're saying. Yeah, I know. She was kind of the lunatic tonight. She was on a tear. Holy moly. So, what a wonderful early Christmas present that this movie came back into theaters. I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. Oh, that's our boy. Godzilla, we gotta see him again. Yes, Tafire. We love Baggage Claim. She's fantastic. Smart cookie, that one. You know, Battlestar Galactica, the reimagined series, was really good at what I'm talking about, which is they wanted to do a space battle series, but they wanted it to feel almost like a war film, like a documentary film, like all of the space combat was real. And so they said every shot that we show of these CGI starships and these CGI planes in space, the Vipers, they need to be shot as if there really is a cameraman that had to go up there in space and film them. And so if you watch it show, it feels very lifelike because, you know, you're 1 minute you're the camera's mounted on the wing of the Viper and you're sort of following its perspective as it dogfights. Then sometimes it's like you're in another plane flying with the Viper to film the action. It's magnificent. It's like a Top Gun film, basically. They film it the way a Top Gun film is done. So what I think is so excellent about the cinematography in Godzilla Minus One is it's done with that exact mindset of like, where is the camera? Where is the perspective? What is it like, really like, to view this monster? Now, to be fair to earlier entries in the Godzilla canon, obviously, years ago, they didn't have the technology to do Godzilla this way. He was a guy in a suit, and he was trashing a model. There's only so much you can do, and that's fair enough. Still, when you see the behind-the-scenes featurette for this film, I was shocked by just how little of the city, how little of the docks, how little of all the sets, how little there actually is. Like, they did not have a lot to work with. They didn't even have like the kind of backlot that you would get on Paramount Studios, right? They didn't even have like that kind of thing. They would build like a strip of street, and then the rest would be green screen, and they'd have the extras running from Godzilla. I couldn't believe how lifelike this movie looks with so little. Get this, chat. The Shinden, the plane that Shikishima is flying against Godzilla, which was a real historical plane. I couldn't believe that when I found that out, but it is. It's a real plane. Real working plane. It was an advanced prototype that never made it into the war, just as they say in the film. So there's that. One of my favorite parts of the film is when Shikishima is in the plane. He's a man embracing his destiny, and he's kind of testing the abilities of the plane. And so he's kind of he's pitching the plane one way and then the other, and then he'll kind of lean this way to look, to try and get a line of sight on Godzilla. Well, they didn't have the money to do hydraulics on the set, so they couldn't have like a hydraulic machine that was doing that. So what they did is they literally had people that were pulling the plane one way or the other with the actor inside the cockpit. And I was like, dude, I cannot believe what they pulled off with this movie. It's like unbelievable how clever and how industrious all the special effects were in this film. They are far more practical than you even think they are. So Star Trek actually used to be good at this in the old days, but like for the ships at sea, right? They did not have the hydraulics to make the ship sets actually tilt or move when they're supposed to be getting impacted with waves or the shock wave of Godzilla's blast. So in the movie, when you see the actors and they're kind of like getting jostled on the ship, well, there were no hydraulics. So literally, it was a combination of the actors had to literally just pretend to be getting shook around, and they had a camera on a crane that was also shaking with them to give the perspective. So they basically used good old-fashioned acting and camera work to make you feel like the ship is really being rocked by these explosions. Have I told you lately how much I admire this film? Have I told you lately how freaking impressed I am? This is the kind of filmmaking we need to get back to, folks. This is the kind of filmmaking where only passion is going to make it work. Only loving it. You want to ask, we often ponder, sometimes rhetorically, but nevertheless, we often ponder why is literally almost everything garbage these days? Why do these massive studios like Disney spend hundreds of millions of dollars to produce garbage? And as we like to joke, they're just setting money on fire. Why? And of course, we've gone through the litany of explanations, but I think I've hit upon another one, which is that, like, they don't have a they don't have limitations on their budget. I mean, yes, is there some kind of ceiling on how much money they can spend? Sure. But it's so astronomical that it might as well be infinite for how ridiculous. I mean, the ridiculous amounts. You heard Katie Sackhoff herself say it. On the Mandalorian set, they spent more money on the craft service table than Battlestar Galactica spent in a whole episode. When you have that kind of limitless fortune, like, there's no incentive to actually have, and this is key, the passion. Like how bad do you want it kind of passion? You know what I'm saying? I feel like Takashi Yamazaki would have crawled over ground glass to get this movie made. Because he loved the story that much. He believed in the story that much. Just the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this film, it literally, every level of it, you can see it. And what I'm saying is that the limitations that Toho Studios was facing with this film, it's a filter. It's a filter that filters for actual love, passion, and desire to do something amazing that's going to please people. In other words, you wouldn't even attempt this unless you loved it. Compare that with how Paramount treats Star Trek, or Disney and BBC treat Doctor Who, Disney, Star Wars, Lucasfilm. There is no such incentive. They're literally hiring lazy, stupid people like Leslie Headland who don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about Star Wars. They could care less. In fact, if they really admitted it, if they were really truly honest, they kind of fucking hate the Star Wars fan base because they're a bunch of incel man babies. Screw them. So, hey, if you'll throw $50 million at me, fine. I guess I'll make Star Wars. I mean, think about Joker Folie à Deux. Joker Folie à Deux is the perfect example of exactly this. It's a perfect comparison. You have Godzilla Minus One, a film on such a shoestring budget that you could only have made it if it were a work of true vision, love, absolute, I'll do anything, whatever it takes, passion to make this happen. On the other hand, you have Joker Folie à Deux, made by a snooty, pampered director who had a dump truck of money backed up to him and was practically coerced into making it. And so he makes this garbage that is mostly designed to troll his own audience. That's why we get so much garbage, because there's no limits. There's no limits that force, that test you as a creative for how bad do you really want this. You know, I would say this is probably the downfall of almost any great franchise, because The Matrix, for example, that first Matrix film did not have like the biggest budget in the world. They had to like figure out a lot of the technology to make the bullet time work and all that. Then, when The Matrix turns out to be this giant success, well, then they back up dump trucks of money for them to make The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. And even though I like those films, and I do, they are way over CGI'd. They kind of went way overboard, and they don't feel as lifelike and real, ironically, as the first film. The first film felt like gritty somehow in a way that the second films did not. The second films felt much more stylized. They felt much more unreal. I kind of like it that Neo's the city Neo lives in the first Matrix feels real, but there's something off about it. It's because it's the Matrix, and that's cool. Second films, it's like, oh, it's the Matrix. It's Green World. Green World is the Matrix. So I think that the more limitations are removed, the less you incentivize the creatives who really seriously want it. And if a creative doesn't seriously want it, what are the chances that they give a shit what the audience wants? Imagine if Star Wars said, okay, lesbian headlamp, tell me your great idea for the Acolyte. And she's like, oh my God, there's like these two sisters, and there's a lesbian witch coven, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, can you make this on $10 million? What? $10 million. Can you get it done? Oh, I'm going to need more money than that. Oh, so you don't think your concept's good enough? I mean, if you're not skilled enough to make it on 10 million, we're not interested in this project. I mean, you're talking about kind of a weird murder mystery in the Star Wars universe. Do we really need that? Hey, do we need that? No, we don't. Lightsabers are more popular, like Jedi, like good Jedi fighting the good fight. Yeah, we got that Grogu thing everyone loves. Yeah, that's okay, lesbian. We're gonna pass on this project because we don't really need a murder mystery in the Star Wars world. That's kind of a low priority for us. Okay, I'll make it. Listen to me. It's gonna be so good. I'm gonna walk you through it. I'm gonna storyboard it. By the way, this is how George Lucas got the first Star Wars film made, because nobody was gonna give him the money for that first Star Wars film, because it sounded like a dopey, weird science fiction movie that was going nowhere. It was gonna be a bunch of dumb puppets, and there were plenty of those types of films at the time. How did Lucas do it? Lucas took actual footage of World War II dogfights, and then he wove that into his presentation to simulate what the beats of the film were going to be like, with Luke, dogfighting with TIE fighters and all that stuff, right? He used that footage to paint a picture in the minds, because Lucas had that much passion, that much belief, and that much vision to make the executives see what he saw and take a chance. Do you think that Leslie Headland would ever have had to go through that? Never. They threw money at her, and she's lazy. She's a lazy, stupid, low-talent writer who pretends she LARPs as a Star Wars fan. She's not. Oh, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? I like them all. Gag me with a spoon. As Lieutenant Jim Dangle of the Reno Sheriff's Department would say, she's a very unfortunate looking woman. It's just constructive, compassionate feedback. And so I just think that this is one of the most excellent parts of Godzilla Minus One. You can't make a movie this good unless you mean it. You just can't. And we need more of that. We need more of that. I love all the... That was it. That was the quote. She said, I love all the Star Wars. I love all the Star Wars. No, you don't. Literally, she made a work that stood in absolute contradiction of everything people love about Star Wars. They psychopaths, man. These activists, these woke wackos like Leslie Headland, they don't... All they can see is their bizarre ideology. It's pathetic. It makes me sick. No, Star Fury, don't say that, Star Fury. Don't say you fucking hate Star Wars now. You hate Disney Star Wars, Star Fury. You don't hate the Star Wars saga. I mean, I was kind of saving this for the Captain's Cast on Sunday, but then again, I thought I might play it. There was this debate on Film Threat about can there be any more Star Wars, and we're definitely gonna go over it. I better save it, because I want to fix the audio problem if I can. Fucking StreamYard. I'm gonna get rid of StreamYard, but anyway, I'll see if I can fix the audio problem. Fu Man Blue saying she's the same type that thinks X-Men is all men. I know, it's really dumb. It's really dumb. But anyway, the debate on Film Threat was, does Star Wars even have a movie to tell? And a story to tell. And Robert Meyer Burnett was on the panel, and he was making an argument, which I will admit is definitely on the black pill side. But I found myself quite intrigued by his take, which is, he said, listen, Star Wars is over. And it was over a long time ago. And that's not just because of bad writers and Disney and activism and all that. It's because the story ended. The story was Luke Skywalker. The story was Luke Skywalker's journey. And really, the prequels are the backstory to Luke's journey. They are an extended flashback of Luke's journey. And I think they're valuable. Don't get me wrong. I love the prequels. And I think that's the correct reading of them. That they are an extended flashback that help fill in some of the deeper shades of Luke Skywalker's journey. But when Return of the Jedi rolls credits, that is the end of the Star Wars story, which is a battle against darkness and light, a hero's epic adventure, the redemption of his evil father, all of that. That is the end of the story. And that you really can't tell that story over again. And then he poses the question, does this world actually have another story to tell? Is there another story that's at least that interesting to tell? And of course, there was another panelist who vehemently disagreed with him. Oh, you can tell tons of stories. Don't give me that, Robert. And then Robert said, no. I'm not saying you can't tell stories in this world. I'm saying, can you ever tell a story at that level, that's at that level of weight and depth? Everything else you do is kind of just peripheral, or it's a repeat of what you've already done, right? And I don't know how much I agree with it. The jury's still out for me, but I have to admit, he kind of makes a compelling case, because I will say one of the things about the Star Wars universe I've noticed is that the constant repetition of, will they turn to the dark side? Will they come back to the light? Dark side, light side, dark side, light side. It's actually become quite reductive, I think. It's kind of the same thing over and over, and I don't know. He's kind of persuading me on this point. I think it's yeah, that was a great story when it was Luke Skywalker going on that journey, but in a way, Luke sort of went through all of that, right? He went through all of that, and he answered all those questions we were pondering. I'm not saying I agree totally. But I don't know that I disagree either. So, Star Fury says, sorry, Captain, the shittiness of current Star Wars gas reverberated back in time and tainted it. Well, I can't hold that against you, because that's exactly how I feel. I swear to God, this is how I feel about Star Trek The Next Generation, which was my favorite Star Trek, my absolute favorite Star Trek. Jean-Luc Picard. He was my favorite captain by a mile. I idolized that character. He might have been, at one time, my favorite fictional character. I loved Jean-Luc Picard. He was this towering intellect. He was this brilliant leader. He was this moral voice everywhere he went. He just was this paragon. I just loved that character. He was such an inspiration to me when I was young. And then I watch Star Trek Picard. And I cannot understate how much that destroyed how I feel about that character. I cannot look at that character and not think about the nihilistic turd that he becomes in the later, just the way he is so hung out to dry, how miserable that really a lot of it is the insanely stupid plot that the Romulans blame him for not saving them or some stupid shit. I mean, they basically copied the thing what they did to Spock in the J.J. Abrams films. They literally just copied it over to Picard, because yes, Spock was supposed to save the planet, but then when the planet was not saved, Picard went to Starfleet and tried to get them to rally the fleet to evacuate all the Romulans, and Starfleet said no. And then Picard resigned from Starfleet in protest. And now Starfleet hates him, and he's a pariah. He lives on his vineyard just moping. And the Romulans all hate him because he did them dirty, and then it just goes downhill from there. And they even sort of character assassinate Seven. Seven is this vengeful, murderous frontier psychopath bounty hunter now. Then they literally butcher Icheb in one scene. God, I fucking hate Star Trek. I hate Star Trek Picard. Alex Kurtzman is the dumbest man in entertainment. Have I said it lately? So I understand how you feel, Star Fury. I just can't look at Picard that way anymore. I just can't. And listen, great credit to Terry Matalas. Picard season 3 was a nice palate cleanser, if nothing else. I mean, you can kind of pretend, but yeah, it's just, look, could I put on an episode of Next Generation and kind of just forget about it for a while? Yeah. I don't care to, though. I really don't, actually. I never really have a craving to watch any episodes. I still watch Voyager. I still watch Deep Space Nine and Enterprise. I'll still watch those. In fact, if I really want my Next Generation fix, I'll go to Deep Space Nine. I'll just watch Deep Space Nine, because that still feels to me the way Next Generation used to feel to me. I feel like Sisko is still the voice of moral authority that Picard can't be anymore because of what they did to him. And mark my words, if Kurtzman brings Sisko back in a new series, he'll do the same shit to Sisko, and then I won't be able to watch Sisko anymore either. But for now, Sisko remains this kind of moral figure in Deep Space Nine. God, I love the scene when Weyoun arrives on the station, and he's so evil, and he literally represents the Nazi government trying to conquer the Federation, but he always pretends to be friends, and so he gets off and they're really negotiating over what's about to start the war, the Dominion War. And I love how Weyoun gets off of the airlock hatch, and he's literally got Gul Dukat behind him, who's like this mass murderer. And he's like, Captain Sisko, it's so great to see you. And then Sisko's like, I'm going to stop you right there. He's like, let's dispense. Let's just get a couple of things out of the air. I don't like the Dominion. I don't like what it stands for. And I don't like you. And then Weyoun's like, oh, Captain, I'm so sorry to hear that because I like you. I love that. I love that. I love Weyoun's response, but mostly I love that Sisko just says, shut the fuck up. Let's not do this. I don't want to pretend that you like me and I like you and we're friends. You're a fucking evil son of a bitch, and I don't like you. And I don't like what you stand for. And I'm like, yes! Dude, that's what I miss. That's what I miss in Star Trek, Can I find that? What the hell? Why not? We're in overtime. It's my show. It's my show, Mr. Producer, and I'll do this if I want to do this. Sisko tells Weyoun he doesn't like him. You gotta love... I don't know if that's gonna find it. That's a Hail Mary. Oh, dude, I do love that part. That's a good one. It's not what I was looking for, but I might play it anyway. Oh my God, I forgot about that. There's a reference to General Sisko in that disgusting Star Trek Picard alternate reality where the Federation is fascist and is like, obviously it's supposed to be the Orange Man's regime. But anyway. No, that's a good scene. Sisko, Weyoun. Let's just see if that finds it. Some good Star Trek fan has to have clipped this. Oh, yes, here it is. I found it. I found it. Yes. Yes. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Oh, yes, I'm so excited. It's just short enough. I can get away. Okay, this is the scene I was doing a poor job describing. And the setup to this is that literally, this is DS9 has mined the entrance to the wormhole to prevent Dominion ships from coming through because they're clearly doing a military buildup to take over the Alpha Quadrant. And so they're pissed. Like, the Dominion is pissed because they're being stopped in their tracks. And so they've come to DS9 literally to intimidate the Federation into capitulating.
Captain Sisko! I can't tell you how happy I am to see you again.
I wish I could say the same.
How delightful. You feel comfortable enough around me to make jokes. I'm so pleased to see our relationship evolving beyond the stale adversarial stage.
No, it's not. But
I love that. No, it's not. No, I'm not fucking with you.
before you twist that into a compliment, let me be blunt. I don't like the Dominion, I don't like what it stands for, and I don't like you. So let's dispense with the hollow pleasantries and stick to business.
I can't tell you how it pains me to hear you say that, Captain. You see, I really like Deep Space Nine, and I like you. And after this meeting with Kai Wynn, I think you and I will be seeing a lot more of each other.
Yes! Screw you, Wayoon! You fascist pig! That's what a Starfleet captain is. That's a Starfleet captain right there. What a badass. I love that. Oh, Captain, you feel comfortable enough in front of me to make jokes. He's like, I'm so glad that our relationship has evolved beyond the pleasantries. And he's just like, no, it hasn't. I don't like you. Yeah, I don't feel so Picard can't do that for me anymore because all I can think of is Rafi. Rafi, I tried to save the Romulans. It's terrible. Yeah, no, Fuma, it's so good. No, I'm not. And I love how he says, and before you try to twist that into a compliment, let me be clear. I don't like the Dominion. I don't like what it stands for. And I don't like you. And then Jeffrey Combs with that really. Wayoon is like my favorite Star Trek villain. Like, he is my favorite Star Trek villain. And that's a perfect illustration of why. Because the way that he is so good at... Well, that's what the Vorta do. The Vorta, their entire role is to disarm the enemy. That's basically what they do. If they can get what they want from you diplomatically, they'll do it. If they can make you feel comfortable and, if they can make you a happy slave, they will do that. If they can make you a deluded slave who thinks you're free, but really you live under their thumb, perfect. If they can make you think you're their friend up until they stick the knife in, even better. And then if all that fails, they'll just send the Jem'Hadar to kill you. That's what I love about them, right? And so then in that scene, oh, well, I like you. It's like, no, you don't. Screw you, great freaking character. Herb Kush is in the chat. Says, remember when he beat up Q? Yeah, there was one Q episode in DS9, and for whatever reason, it doesn't stick in my mind. I can never remember that. But yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, he definitely was not taking no shit from Q. I actually think some of the funnest interactions with Q were between him and Janeway. I liked that Q's son called Janeway Aunt Kathy. I always thought that was funny. I love this. I love the episode where Q just appears in Janeway's bubble bath. She's like, "Oh, Q, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, I need your help. You have to look after my son." And then she's like, "No, Q, I'm not your babysitter. Get away from me." And then Q's like, maybe we should go ask Jean-Luc. I love how mean that is, because they're trapped in the Delta Quadrant, and he could just hop and skip around the universe wherever he wants. He could snap his fingers and they'd be home, but he won't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. Yeah, I forgot about it too, Fu-Man. Fu-Man says, I haven't seen DS9 as many times as I've seen TNG. Yeah, dude. DS9, it's like a regular rewatch. It's like a regular. The Dominion War arc is it's probably my favorite story arc in all of Star Trek. I just absolutely love it. Wayoon's a big reason, and Gul Dukat as well, is a big reason why that story arc is so good, because they're such great villains. Herb Kush saying, that's why I never watch Picard. I will not let wokeness taint my pure memories of TNG. Yeah, if you skip season 1 and 2, just watch season 3. It's like a 10-hour... It's basically like a 10-hour classic next-gen movie. That's basically what it is. If you like Star Trek First Contact... Honestly, it's a pretty good ending to Picard's character. I just wish the first 2 seasons had never happened. Like, if that had just been a one-off limited series, it would have been perfect. It would have been perfect. There would have been nothing at all wrong with it. and it closes the story of Jean-Luc and the Borg. The Borg are Jean-Luc's nemesis. They are absolutely his ultimate nemesis. I would say for Kirk, the Klingons are kind of his ultimate nemesis. I guess Janeway's kind of winds up the Borg too. She kind of stole Jean-Luc's. Yeah, the Borg kind of become her big nemesis in the show. Enterprise the Xindi. The Xindi become Archer's nemesis. But in any case, Picard's true nemesis is the Borg Queen, and that element of it was nailed. They really gave him an epic ending. They gave the character, that would be Terry Matalas specifically, who took over when Kurtzman fucked off. He basically gave Picard just the perfect ending and resolution to his final battle with his nemesis. It was great. It was just fantastic. And he even managed to resolve the constant thread of Jean-Luc kind of regretting that he never started a family. That's always been a big element of Picard's character, that he never started a family. And he kind of, and at times he's sort of like, oh yeah, I don't like children. I'm glad I didn't. But then he'll kind of let on that he kind of wishes he did. You know, that episode, The Inner Light, Star Trek Generations, they all establish that Picard secretly longs to have had a family, right? And so what's brilliant about Picard Season 3 is it closes that loop as well. So it really provides an excellent ending to the Next Gen story in general and Picard in particular. Fascinatingly enough, it's another example of exactly what I'm saying with Godzilla Minus One, because Terry Matalas was basically given scraps with almost no budget and was expected to fail, right? He was basically like, you know what, I don't really give a shit about this anymore. Here, you can have it, you know? It's like the shitty little snot-nosed kid that breaks your toy and is like, oh, I don't want to play with that anymore. Here, you can have that one. That's basically what Kurtzman did with Picard. It was a dog shit show. It had gone way down the tubes. It was a meme. And he was like, all right, I don't want to play with this anymore. And he gave it to Matalas. What he didn't realize is Matalas is a Star Trek fan. He's a Star Trek fan. And he had almost no budget. But all he did have was control and vision. And because of sheer desire and passion, just like Takashi Yamazaki and Godzilla Minus One, Matalas had the vision and passion to make it work. And he made, frankly, the best post-Enterprise season of Star Trek ever. Like, ever. Like, it had ship battles. It had the whole cast. It had epic, it had an epic story with the Changelings and the Borg. Holy shit! It even wove in threads from Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Next Gen. It really actually kind of was a nice bookend to the whole Federation canon. It was excellent. They had references to Archer in it. It was great. They did nods to Tuvok made an appearance. Like, they did nods to almost every other Star Trek show, but in a loving fan service kind of way. So check that one out, Herb Kush. I do recommend that. Just season 1 and 2. Just take my word for it. Avoid. Dude, I have a friend. that I said this exact advice to. I gave him this exact advice. Okay, he starts watching it. He texts me. He said, I thought you said this was good. And I'm like, what episode are you on? I'm on like episode 3. It sucks. It sucks, man. And I was kind of disappointed. I was like, damn, well, I really liked season 3. I thought you would like it. And, well, I guess they can't all be winners. Like, yeah, they've got this weird Borg lady and she's taken over some doctor. And now they're in 20th century France. And I'm like, what? You're watching the second season. I told you not to watch the second season. And he's like, why can't you follow simple instructions? I was pissed. I was like, don't blow up my phone telling me that I steered you wrong. Jeez. Oh, wait. What did I see? Starfury, you said something about Godzilla Minus One, Minus Two. Dang it, I lost it in the chat. Where is it? What about Minus One, Minus Two? Oh, you're right, Fu Man Blue. They did retcon some of the first 2 seasons a little bit. I would say in a really good way. in a really fun way, they totally just ignored the Borg plot in the second season with literally the line from the character was, forget about all that weird shit on the Stargazer. And I was like, yes! Screw you, Kurtzman! Now, let me tell you something. That little twerp is a psychopath. They are psychopaths, man. The minute that Terry Metalis got credit for doing a good season of Star Trek, they ripped that shit back away. These are petty people. These are petty, small people. They're low talent. They are low IQ. And when a talented person humiliates them that way, they can only be petty and conniving about it. It's common. It's common in that industry. And that's exactly what Leslie Headland is. How do you think that the former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein winds up directing a Star Wars show with like a $200 million budget? How do you think that happens? It doesn't happen because that bitch has talent. It does not happen because she has talent. It happens because she knows, where bodies are buried. She knows how to like grease the right skids, stab the right people in the back. And if anyone smarter than her is able to like start showing her up, that person's getting knifed in the back and they're getting the hell out of there. I guarantee you, Leslie Headland she would not allow someone who is actually talented to be in her presence because it would humiliate her and she'd have to get rid of them. That's what people like her and Kurtzman, that's what they are. They're parasites. They don't actually have any real vision or talent of their own. I saw something about that. Anyway, all I will say about Godzilla Minus One, Minus Two is, look, I am here for anything Takashi. In fact, any film that I hear of that Takashi Yamazaki wrote and directed, I'm watching it. I don't care what the genre. I want to see it. Like, this is a talent. This is an absolute talent. And obviously, I want him in charge of all Godzilla films for like from now until he dies. Like, that's basically how it is. Like John Williams composing the music for Star Wars, you are not allowed to leave, sir. You must be, in fact, you must be immortal. So, figure it out. That being said, there is a significant part of me that feels Godzilla Minus One is a bit of lightning in the bottle. Lightning in a bottle, right? It's and that is not in any way meant to disparage or diminish Yamazaki's brilliance. I'm just saying that even the best talent, like for example, like even the best talent is going to outdo themselves once in a while, Did Leonardo da Vinci, how many paintings did Leonardo da Vinci do that were as good as the Mona Lisa? You know what I'm saying? I think Robert Zemeckis, right? He flat out admits it. I'll never make a movie as good as Back to the Future again. Like that was it, man. Back to the Future, I have maybe one or two of those in my lifetime. It's just a rare lightning in a bottle. I totally outdid myself, And so I'm not saying this is necessarily the case, but my feeling is I don't know that Yamazaki could top Godzilla Minus One. There's something about it. It's kind of unique. I don't know if he could do that again. Now, I could be wrong. He could be sort of like Christopher Nolan, and he just starts belting these out, and rarely does he miss. But that's even for Nolan, it's like they can't all be winners, is all I'm saying. I'm not saying it won't be quality. Any sequel he does is going to be great. It's going to be quality. But will it be the kind of once-in-a-lifetime moving experience that Minus One was? I don't know. I'd sure as hell love to see him try, though. I'd love to see him try. You know what I'd love? I was actually thinking this. I was like, what would I want Godzilla Minus One, Minus Two to be? And Minus One plus Two. Whatever. There's too much math involved in these titles. What I would want it to be is like the 1980s. Like, wouldn't that be cool? Shikishima's like he's an old man, and he's got like a family and grandkids, and now he's kind of like he's like in some kind of position of authority. Maybe he's like the president. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool. Shikishima winds up the president, the guy famous for luring Godzilla into the trap. That'd be great, right? And the main character is a younger guy, who's kind of more of a ground level character, and it's in the 80s. and it's kind of a reimagining of Godzilla 1985. I think that would be rad. I think it'd be so cool. I'd be so down for that. Let's see. Star Fury says same team doing the Godzilla Minus One movie. So they're doing a second one. Let me see if I can find this. Godzilla Minus One 2. It's kind of a weird way to. Yes. What? Good one, Star Fury. Yeah, Star Fury has sighted land on the horizon. Where is it? Come on now. Share screen. This from Variety. New Godzilla movie from Godzilla Minus One director, greenlit by Toho Studios. Godzilla is stomping its way back to the... he's a he, him. Thank you very much. Godzilla is stomping his way back to the screen. A new Godzilla movie from the director of last year's Oscar-winning Japanese film Godzilla Minus One has officially been greenlit. Toho, the Japanese entertainment company and creator of Godzilla, made the announcement on Friday. Takashi Yamazaki, who wrote and directed the surprise hit Godzilla Minus One, will return for the new film. He's once again handling the VFX, smart move, after winning the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects in 2023. Let's see if there's any dish about what it might be about. Is that all we get? Okay, here we go. It's unclear if the new movie is a direct sequel to Godzilla Minus One. However, the film did end on a cliffhanger for the rampaging lizard. After Godzilla is defeated, it's revealed that a piece of the monster's flesh is regenerating in the bottom of the ocean. There's also the issue of Shikishima's girlfriend, Noriko Oishi, who survived a run-in with Godzilla but is left with a mysterious black marking on her neck. Godzilla Minus One was lauded for its special effects and portraying the monster and its rampant destruction on a low budget of around $15 million. You know, what a cold description for such a beautiful film. These idiots at Variety, man, this is all they see. Jordan Moreau is the writer here, you know. Obviously, that's all he sees. It had at the Hollywood Awards, it was best special effects, and it was a surprise that it made lots of money. Oh, just fuck off. Just fuck off. That's not even a tenth of what this movie is. Stupid, man. But that, of course, I'm referring to the... I'm just referring to the clinical, just consumerist, transactional way that they view this film. You know, they just view it as like dollars and cents, and it's like, yeah, that's why all the films you're so excited about suck, because that's all you can see. Oh, it had pronouns in it. Starfury says Godzilla's pronouns are fucking you. Look, he's a him, man. He just is. Now, listen, if they ever state in the film that it's a female, like, we believe it's the female organism, it laid eggs or whatever it is, we tested its DNA, I don't care. Whatever the line of dialogue is, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. They haven't really established what the sex of the Godzilla organism is. I just, I get a lot of masculine from him. He's our boy. He's curling up in the Coliseum for a nap. Look, he's not a bad guy. He's not a malevolent creature. He's nesting. He's just nesting. It's nature taking its course. It's not his fault that he's 30 stories tall and that he's radioactive and breathes nuclear fire. That's not his problem. And that he has a generally pugnacious personality and disposition. It's his nature. He needs room to breathe. He needs space. Why do you humans need all the cities anyway? It's his Tokyo is his natural habitat. And he's just trying to build a home. Godzilla! Yay! Godzilla! No! Godzilla ain't the hero, folks. And I admit to a tad, I'm a bit chauvinistic on this point, but for me, Godzilla's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. Sure, once in a while, you can aim the bad guy at a worse bad guy. I'm actually, I would be interested to see Yamazaki do a take on that. Like, I'd rather see Yamazaki, okay, you give me your vision of what it really looks like when something really, really bad arrives and we're in such a desperate situation that we decide to aim Godzilla at that thing, right? And Godzilla's not the hero. He's not like this wonderful protector. He curls up in the Coliseum for a nap after knocking off, the latest in a trail of kaiju we needed him to kill for us. He's not. That's not what he is. We got all these puff pieces about him in the press. We got little helicopters with it's the Godzilla cam. It's the Godzilla cam. No, we don't have any of that. It's more like the enemy of our enemy is our friend. I think that is the way you would get at it, in my view. And I would love to see Yamazaki try that. Wouldn't you? Fu Man Blue agrees with me that it's like minus one is lightning in a bottle. which is not in any way a criticism of Yamazaki. That's a compliment. I'm saying Yamazaki is brilliant, and he even exceeded the threshold of his own brilliance with this film. Like he just outdid himself on this piece. And that happens. Every artist, they just have one that's the best one that's their masterpiece. I mean, I think like for Steven Spielberg, it's probably Schindler's List. But if you're talking about his popcorn features, like Jurassic Park, I don't think he's ever done a better film. That's it. That was his peak. That's it. He doesn't have any more of those in him. Doesn't mean he couldn't. He just didn't, Yeah, you say Fu Man Blue, it's hard to beat the plot, and you're right, but it's the plot, it's the setting, it's the characters, it's the thematic elements, it's the message of the film, it's the cinematography, the sound design, it's the grounded grittiness of it, it's the haunting story, it's the family dynamic, it's how powerful and affecting every character, every actor's performance is in the film. Like it's the total package. The movie is the total package. It's the lore. It's the lore of World War II history and military tactics and history. It's the commentary on the rights and potential of the individual. It's the commentary on the value of life. I could just go on and on about all the great things that it represents beyond just like a great, what is undoubtedly a great story. Fu Man Blue says, yeah, he can't be the good guy or you're right back in Hollywood. I'm saying yes, he can't be the good guy. He can be the enemy of our enemy. I think that's reasonable. He can be the enemy of our enemy. And in some of those Godzilla versus movies, that's what he is. He's the enemy of our enemy, and our hope is that he goes back into the ocean when he's done. We don't want him to stick around, Yeah. Oh, he just beat Ghidorah. Yay! It's like, okay, now how do we get him to go home? We don't want him to stay. But then some of those versus films were actually pretty dopey, and they were just like the Japanese ones were just as bad as pretty much as bad as the American ones, where he's basically a superhero and we love him. We love Godzilla. We do kind of, though. Like you can't help but admire him a little. When they salute him at the end, you can't beat that. man. Well, this is fun. This was fun. Thanks for hanging out, chat. I just felt like talking a little Godzilla. I thought we could talk a little Godzilla together, you know? But, you know, listen, I kept Star Fury up until I feel bad. I feel like Star Fury is sitting up at like 4 in the morning to listen to me yak about Godzilla with a shitty microphone connection. That's really what makes me feel guilty. Bad audio. He stayed up late. It's even bad audio. But what can I do? I appreciate you being here. My dear sailors and starnuts, hanging out, talking some Gojira. Foodman Blue saying, what if the Anukai put Godzilla here? Well, that's possible. You're too kind, Beardo's Dummy Thick Peach. Good stream. That's a dubious claim, but I appreciate your compliments. I do. I appreciate your support. The Captain's Cast will be this Sunday at the usual time, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, the microphone will be sounding good. I'm going to do whatever I can to resolve it in the meantime. But that's our little mini Godzilla special for you for tonight. Hat tip Takashi Yamazaki, Ryonosuke Kamiki, and all of the brilliant minds and talents behind the amazing, the best film of 2023, and hell, let's face it, maybe even 2024, Godzilla Minus One. One of my favorite films of all time. This is Captain Garrett of the Swords of Starships channel. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you out there.